You're asking me about Bob Arum. Bob Arum's been in the business for 50 years. He put one fight on this year. He doesn't have a TV deal, as far as I know. Does Top Rank have a TV deal yet? Anybody? Don't even have a TV deal. What am I going to work with him on? He has no TV deal. Guy's been around for 50 years or more.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are all doing well. So big news today in the world of boxing. Top Rank, obviously, their deal with ESPN had expired. We're without a TV deal for a long time. And today been announced that they have now got a partnership with DAZN. And DAZN, obviously at this point, we're going to break it down. But they're pretty much, the leaders in terms of boxing nowadays, in terms of the big platform. So before we get into that, as always, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I've always been a little bit biased. Top Rank has always been one of my favorite promotional companies. I think number one, some of the fighters that they've had over the years. I remember when, they were on ESPN, I was watching all of the New Age fights, Lomachenko, Beterbiev, Shakur Stevenson was on Top Rank, and as well, like some of the, the young fighters they've got as well. So, I always felt that Top Rank was, great value for money. I'm very happy that they're, staying in boxing. I think, some of the talent that they've got and the fighters that they've got, I really do think it would have been a shame, if they were to get out of boxing. But yeah, this is obviously, a massive deal. DAZN now, they've got, obviously Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. They've got Frank Warren and Queensbury. I think Oscar De La Hoya and Goldenboy, we'll see if they renew the deal, but I think that deal's actually expired now. And, Top Rank as well. So, I think DAZN, if you're a boxing fan, really that's the platform for you. I think if I was to criticize DAZN a little bit, I think the actual structure of their subscription, in my opinion, could improve a little bit. The difficulty obviously is, you've got a monthly subscription, but then you're, still paying for some of the, the pay-per-view events. So that's one thing that I don't like. Mainly, this video is going to be about Top Rank and, the fact that I'm just, super happy that they're staying in boxing. And I think as well, one thing I've always liked about Top Rank, of course, yes, value for money. But as well, I feel like they're, they really know what they're doing. If you look at some of the matchmakers, if you look at, some of the fighters they've got, the way that they can scout talent, it's really second to none. I mean, you saw who was at the press conference today. Bruce Carrington, young fighter, up and coming, just become a world champion. Keyshawn Davis recently became a world champion, moving up in weight. I'll be stunned if he's, doesn't become a top 10 pound for pound fighter, anytime soon. Abdullah Mason, up and coming, fighter, world champion at 135. And Emiliano Vargas as well. It was obviously, he was at the Super Bowl performance, and another big name, and I think he's destined to be a star in the sport of boxing as well. So yeah, very happy for Top Rank. Obviously, for Bob Arum. Bob Arum, he is getting a lot older, but it's great that they've got this deal down the line. Of course, there was a lot of people in boxing, Eddie Hearn being one of them, laughing that Top Rank didn't have a deal and what's going to happen, and look at what they've done now. So yeah, very good news. As well, they've got guys like, even guys like, if you saw, when Navarrete fought Sugar Nunez, Navarrete destroyed him. I think that's what Todd DeBuff was saying as well. These Top Rank fighters, these guys can fight. They win most of the fights that they're in, and they're stable, and their platform is, very, very impressive. I think, as well, a big thing, obviously, the big fight between Hunter Nakatani and Naoya Inoue is coming up later in the year. They're actually both, free agents now. Of course, they were with Top Rank prior, but both free agents. So I think it'll be interesting, for them to see what's going to happen. I can't see them signing with Zuffa Boxing. I don't really see that happening. So yeah, I wonder if they, do strike a deal themselves with Top Rank as well. So yeah, very interesting news today. Of course, as well, actually, want to touch on it a little bit. Zuffa Boxing, Dana White and Turki Al-Sheikh and Sella. They've also struck a deal with Sky Sports, so they will, promote some of their fights on the Sky Sports platform, which I think is great, okay, because, for those of you that don't know, in the UK, Sky Sports, in terms of, like, the sports channels, it's second to none. It's kind of like ESPN in America. So, yeah, I think this is a very good time for boxing. Obviously, with the Saudis, a lot of money is being pumped into the sport. There's a lot of good up-and-coming fighters. We're starting to, see some of the fights that we want to see. So yeah, I think this is, good news all around. Definitely, let me know your guys' thoughts, in the comments below. What do you think of this news? Do you feel like this is a good deal? And also, what do you guys think of DAZN? Because now it sounds like, DAZN is, the big channel, where it comes to, boxing, and, obviously they got the Misfit stuff as well. So, yeah, definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thanks as always, and I'll see you guys on the next one shortly.